Wait, first of all, after the other night, can we just have an update of how things are in the treatment room since you've come back into Reeseath?
Yeah, things are picking up a little bit. Travis has been for a scan. There's no serious damage to his foot, so it's just about pain threshold for him, how he can manage himself and get closer to being selected, and more importantly joining training with the group. That might be next week, or that might come too soon. Ryan's rejoined from Arsenal, which is great, good to see him. He's fit and available, so that's an extra body we'll have. I'm looking forward to seeing him out on the training pitch. Tariq, as you saw, is back, looking fit with a smile on his face, which is nice to see. He's a really good lad, so he'll be available for selection. Dan Aggie, we spoke to him this morning. Again, he's making good progress. The weekend will probably be too soon. Hopefully get some extra training in him with the sports science team. We look for next week, hopefully.
Josh Lunsford, just on him from the other night, is he okay?
Yeah, I've not seen Josh yet. He's struggling with his groin. We're hoping it's not too serious. He played in 2 games of high intensity, a little bit different. Training's been a little bit different for him, so his body might just telling him he needs a rest for a couple of days, and we hope that's the case.
I know the result wasn't one that you wanted to take, but the occasion was fantastic for everybody connected to go to Hillsborough. But as a professional management team, what do you want to see now? What do you want to learn from that game coming into your final home game, and you as a group going forward?
Yeah, we're just trying to adjust a few things, Graham, and like you say, at Sheffield it was a great occasion, big stage, but we want our players to be playing in them types of games and environment more often. Now, that's not going to happen in terms of where we're going to be next year, but we want them to embrace and go out there and do it head on. Don't take a back seat. In the future, in the games on Saturday, we're obviously at home. You know, we want the crowd to be behind us, and we've got to give them something to cheer about. So, you know, we've got to play with lots of energy, good football. More importantly, we've got to get closer to their goal to create chances.
Yeah, that's one thing that Alex spoke about, and obviously you all speak, you and Kenny and the rest of the coaching staff. He wasn't happy enough that you weren't attacking well. How though, in this short space of time, can you try and improve that? Yeah,
you've got to try and implement little bits in the training and the tactical work we'll do, and they've just got to take a few more risks when they get up there. You can sort of understand a little bit playing Sheffield Wednesday away, didn't have much of the ball to begin with. When they had it, they wanted to keep the football to get a foothold in the game. But we're challenging just to be a little bit more braver, be a bit more direct, taking the opponent on, definitely get more crosses into the box. So it's just an encouragement more than anything, not to be safe, and mistakes are going to happen, and they've got our backing when they do happen.
Well, one thing that happened in the first game, and then it happened again in Tuesday's game, that you made big calls early on. One was a substitution in your first game, and then the other one was a change of tactics. Is that something as a management team you want to do sooner rather than later, be a sort of flexible tactical management team? Well,
you've got to be, because we want to win football matches, and so the things that we can get done earlier to help us as a group to win football matches, then we can. Kenny spotted it brilliantly at Sheffield. A little tinker with the formation, because a lot was going on. There was balls raining in, and you know, a lot was going on. It's brilliant to have him just to be there and make that tactical change. But for the group, for the whole team and the club, we want to be successful. Players are going to have to realise that things are going to have to change. You can't always wait till half time, and that's a buy-in we need from everybody.
It's important, that, isn't it, in terms of management of a football team at a high level, professional level. You've got to be on the ball because it moves that quickly. Yeah, it does. The games are done. They're finished. If you aren't willing to make changes and be bold with what you're doing, the games are finished. Particularly at this level, you're playing against good teams, good players, and they can kill games off within 15 minutes. Now, look, they didn't do that on the other night, so they give us an opportunity to get a foothold in the game, but we've got to be willing to be flexible. That's football. Everyone needs to be on the same page with that. Well, as you said, you touched on it, you're coming into your final home game. It seems strange, it's been a short spell, but you sent your supporters home happy for your first game. What do you want to get out of this one now? Because, you know, it's another big club playing at League One level in Ipswich, but you're at home, you've got to be on the front foot. Yeah,
we have to be on the front foot, and not just because it's the last game of the season and what's gone before, and to put, you know, make everyone happy, but that's what we've got to be like at home. We've got to be more on the front foot next season, moving into next season. I said to the players after the game, they're like caged animals. There's so much more there's so much more to come from them, you know, in terms of what they can show with the football. It's just getting that little bit of confidence to be able to do it. And we're looking forward to seeing that on Saturday. We want high energy performances, particularly at home, away from home. Particularly at this level, you have to make changes and sacrifice one or two things in games. But certainly at home, we want to get on the front foot. We want to be aggressive with what we're doing. We want to get shots away. We want to put crosses into the box. We want to try and be the dominant team. Now, that's not going to be the case sometimes, particularly against big clubs, good teams. But we want to try and impose ourselves onto them as much as we can.
You more or less picked up sort of my next question there, because you've said how excited you are with what you're working with and what you're going to be bringing in terms of your quality, that you know there's a lot more in there. It's that close season that is really approaching now, and of course they've had a terrible time, the football club. Yep. What's your message to those supporters then? What can they expect from sort of when that last ball is kicked right the way through to when you kick in again in July the 31st?
Yeah, well, us to be proactive, that's what they can expect with the players that we have at the football club in terms of how we're going to look after them over the summer and getting prepared for the next season, and particularly with what we're trying to bring through the door. Now, Graham, we've got to get the job, haven't we? You know, so we've got to be, you know, but we want to be proactive in terms of what we want to bring through the door. We don't want to be. Now, we're not saying in the next 3 weeks after the season finishes, transfers come rolling through the door, but they don't. But we want to get some through the door as quickly as possible so they can buy into the culture. We can speak to them as quickly as possible in terms of what we expect of them. And I'd fully expect a busy summer and an exciting one, but we've got to make sure it's right, because I think everyone can see things haven't quite gone right over the last couple of transfer windows, so it's important that we get it right. We've got good people in place to do that now. We've got to entrust in them, and Alex will have the say, along with all of us, but Alex will have the say in terms of if we think that body fits right.
More or less waiting for dot the I, cross the T's for a new recruitment team. You just touched on that's nearly all done, but how positive move is that for the football club? Because it seems though it's an area that had dropped off.
It's really important, especially in modern day football. There's that many footballers now. The pool's massive in terms of if you look at under 23 football, etc. Because everyone thinks, it's an under 23 player, but there's 24-year-olds playing in them games who are really good footballers. And to cover everything, you know, non-league, excellent footballers in non-league that need monitoring what they're doing. For a small management team to cover all of that, it's impossible to do. So, you know, we've got Glyn in, we've got Josh in. These are important people to give us the names, as well as us being out. You know, we need to be out watching them and looking at them and making our own opinion. We can't just go off 10 minutes of good clips. You know, you can't do that. You've got to actually watch them for the full game. But it's so important, and then that allows us to concentrate on the grass, what we need to improve on the grass, putting training methods in place. Even though we might not be training, we've still got a lot of work in terms of putting down a portfolio of what we expect to become in the outcomes in training sessions. So they're massively important, and they'll be a big part of the team.
I don't like picking out individual players because it is a team collective sort of game that you all play, but there's always been a little battle for the #1 goalkeeping spot of, you know, the previous manager said there was nothing to choose between the two goalies, and they're both good goalkeepers. But Dave Richards over the last few weeks has really come on, hasn't he, in terms of a lot of consistency. That must be a real pleasing point for you and for Alex and the rest of you. Yeah,
it really is. And listen, regardless of what's going on, they're two good lads, really good lads. They work hard, they do extra sessions. Trigger seems to have gone on another level in terms of how he is looking after his body. He's here till 4 o'clock. He's here all the time. What he's eating, can't tell you what he's eating. He will not be hungry, that guy. But he is eating away. And you work hard, you get the rewards in the end. And his performances, not just in the last 2 games, but leading up to these last 2 games, have been good. Now he's got to be consistently like that, hasn't he? What he is, he's willing to learn. He's a sponge. He wants to get better all the time. He wants to improve. He deals with criticism and constructive criticism really well. So we're really pleased for him. The challenge is, can he maintain being Crewe's #1? That's the challenge for him.
I don't know whether you can answer this question, but Chris Porter hasn't been in the squad. He's been a great servant here for the time he's been here. He's been leading goal scorer and done really well, helped the team to get that League One status. What can you bring us up to date with him?
Yeah, he's struggling with a minor Achilles problem at the minute. What he's managing, he's in 7:30, 7:45 every morning, looking after himself. So we're just managing through that and see where we go for the next couple of games.